Hello everyone, Liam Cook here, and welcome to Coventry United TV for this very special presentation. Now here at Coventry United we're proud of not only our own accomplishments in the beautiful game, but also the sporting heritage of what we believe is the greatest city in the world. So we're talking to one of Coventry's favourite footballers, a local lad who dreamed of playing for his boyhood club and ended up becoming a real fan's favourite, and some would say a modern day legend. Also, my favourite Coventry player of all time. We can only be talking about the one and only Gary McSheffrey. We're talking to him about his Premier League days with Coventry and Birmingham City, his 2 stints with the Sky Blues, his path into coaching, and the recent fall and rise of the Sky Blues. Now, due to the present climate and lockdown restrictions, sadly myself and Gary couldn't meet to speak in person. But thanks to the wonders of technology, we were able to have an in-depth chat online. I expected this to be a 5-minute interview, 10 at best, but Gary is such a knowledgeable character and he's got some very interesting stories to tell, some of which you may well be hearing for the first time. So pour yourself something cold, put your favourite cough shirt on, and hear the thoughts and views of a true Sky Blue. Gary, thanks for joining us today here on Coventry United TV. Now, everyone knows you're a Cov lad through and through. You've supported the Sky Blues from a young age, but when did you realise you wanted to play football for a living?
As early as I can remember, really, at under 12, under 13 level. The Coventry Centre of Excellence is what it was known back then. The games programme really got more serious and we were playing against, most decent clubs in the country. And then when you're 14 years old, you get offered schoolboy forms, which is a 2-year contract. I was lucky enough at that age, I was still actually 13, to get offered a 2-year schoolboy forms, and then on leaving school, an apprenticeship and a 2-year pro. So by the time of my 14th birthday, I really knew that I was, going into full-time football after school. So it was a real opportunity at making it,
No matter how talented you are, every aspiring player needs support to get to the top. Who was your greatest asset in getting to where you wanted to be at a young age?
The biggest asset would have been my parents, really. They have to obviously drive you everywhere, get you to probably 3 or 4 different games a week for different teams, whether it's grassroots, a school, Coventry Schoolboys, a district game for West Midlands, or it might even be a Coventry Centre of Excellence game. So there was loads of games, loads of training sessions that I had to get to, and my mum and dad took me everywhere, along with the grassroots coaches and the academy coaches at a young age. It was definitely my parents.
When you started your footballing journey, what would you say was your ultimate ambition in football?
My ultimate ambition setting out, I think, was to play for Coventry City in the Premier League. Having watched them throughout all my teens, it was definitely something that I dreamed about, and it happened quite early, to be honest, but not on a regular, consistent basis. And then the club got relegated out of the Premier League, which was disappointing. But yeah, that was the aim, and luckily enough, I got an opportunity to play in the Premier League again 7 or 8 years later at a different club.
After some hard graft in the junior sides, you made your Premier League debut in 1999. You were the youngest ever Premier League player at the time until Aaron Lennon debuted 4 years later. Talk us through the mindset of a 16-year-old lad making his debut in the world's biggest league.
The build-up to my debut was, happened really quick, bit of a blur, to be honest. Had a game for the youth team on the Friday evening in an FA Youth Cup game at Highfield Road, and we won quite comfortably, I think, against Sheffield United 4-0, and I'd scored a couple and I got bought off after an hour, to my frustration, and then found out I got bought off because the manager was in the stand, and he ordered the youth team manager to bring me off and explained that I'd be on the bench tomorrow at Aston Villa away. So literally after the game, I had to go home, grab a suit, grab a bag, and get my boots, etc., and go meet the team at the team hotel. And the next day I was there, on the bench, and luckily enough I got on at the end for a bit.
When you forced your way into the Coventry City starting lineup in the mid-2000s, you instantly became a fan favourite and a real crowd pleaser as well, with some fantastic, spectacular goals scored across your first stint with the club. You must have some brilliant memories from your time at Coventry City.
Yeah, good memories for me personally. Go back really to probably the youth team days. We got to 2 FA Youth Cups on the final, which was, we had a great bunch, great team spirit. We were part of a youth team where, in the era where the first team was really probably the golden era of my lifetime, really, in Coventry teams. The late 90s, the early year 2000, 2001, we had some real top players, constant Premiership football. Strachan manager, I think that was a really, really good team, real entertaining team. Then, obviously, on a personal note, my first goal would have been a big moment at Selhurst Park against Crystal Palace. My first goal at Highfield Road was a big moment again. I think that was at home to Sheffield United. Really stands out in my memory. The last day at Highfield Road was a great occasion. Shared it with Jimmy Hill and the ex-legends on the pitch, and a great squad that day as well, and managed to get a couple of goals that day. And then you go to the Rico then as well, and the first day at the Rico was a big occasion. We won 3-0 comfortably against QPR. And then also one that stands out for me is a couple of goals I scored against Leeds. I think I got a last injury time minute penalty and we won 2-1, and it was a real big game. Leeds always bring 5,000 or 6,000, and it was great to get the winner in that game.
Supporters are an integral part to any football club. Of course, we are missing supporters around the country now in the professional leagues, but I think everyone could agree that Coventry fans are a special breed.
Yeah, Coventry fans are, definitely up there, one of the best bunch in the country. I think the tough times of the previous few years, really showed how much they come together, and away games for 3 or 4 seasons, selling out every game. It was a real driving force in this rebuild under Mark Robins, and the back-to-back promotions, 2 wins at Wembley. It's been amazing times for the fans, and just exactly what they deserve after a turbulent few years.
After some pretty successful years personally at Coventry, it was time to move on in 2006 to Birmingham. How tough was it not only to leave your local club but also to join their rivals?
Yeah, it was a difficult decision to leave. It was dragging on for quite a bit, to be honest. Ultimately, didn't want to go, initially. But at the same time, the club were in a position where they needed the money. It wasn't really a secret. And they were entertaining the bids, and the bids kept going up and up and up, and kept getting knocked back. And then eventually, it got to a point where they were pleased with the money they got. At the time, it was a large chunk of money. I think it was £2.35 million up front, £500,000 on promotion to the Premier League if I got promoted at Birmingham, which we did on the first season, so there was another £500,000. It was £500,000 again on 20 games in the Premier League, so I made that season as well. So before you know it, they got £3.5 million, and I think the total deal turned out 3.7 in add-ons, etc. And it was a great deal for the club really at the time. It was difficult to go. Yeah, I mean, obviously Birmingham's just down the road. Growing up as a Cov fan, I didn't really see Birmingham as a huge rival. It was always Villa. It was always Leicester. We're closer to Leicester, yet Villa was always in the top league with Coventry. So in the bigger picture, there's worse things in life can happen, than going to play for a football team. But it turned out a good move for both parties.
It turned out to be a great move for you. You earned promotion to the Premier League while at the Blues. It must have been a great feeling to play against some of the world's best players week in and week out.
Yeah, obviously playing in the Premier League, that's what it's about. At the time, I didn't really think about it. I was more focused on my own game and how we were approaching the games as a team with Birmingham and just trying to win as many games as we can. But yeah, when you reflect on it and you get time to look back and see the shirts, some of the shirts you get, etc., and some of the teams you played against, it was definitely a great experience.
After your spell at Birmingham came to an end, you came home to Coventry in 2010. Was it always the plan to eventually return to the Sky Blues?
No, you don't. Unfortunately, in football, you don't really get the luxury of planning years ahead. I mean, coming back to Coventry, it happened. I mean, at the time, it would have been. It was in the back of my mind to hopefully come back one day and play again, but it wasn't it wasn't part of the plan. Let's just go Birmingham for a few years and then come straight back. No, it was. It just panned out that AD Boothroyd took over and he rated me and he wanted me and he put himself out there to get me, and it was just nice to feel part of something good again, and exciting and feel wanted, because I'd had a couple of injury hit seasons at Birmingham that didn't go well, and I think my confidence was definitely affected from it. And to have the backing of AD and a good squad, and to come back to Coventry was just breath of fresh air, and I was buzzing about it, to be honest.
During your second stint with Coventry City, you had some good days and you had some bad days, but your time with City ended in 2013 when you were part of the infamous bomb squad. How did you come to be a part of this group?
Yeah, as you said, we had some good days, good memories, and we had some bad days, yeah. It's always disappointing to get relegated. Wasn't a nice feeling. I felt the squad we had was definitely too good to get relegated out of the Championship, and for whatever reasons we didn't play well enough, consistently enough, and we didn't get the points on the board. We had a one hit at it the next season to get straight back up. Mark Robins come in and we were doing well, and then obviously we got hit with a points deduction that took us down the table again, and then Stephen Presley come in. I think the wage bill he was probably dealing with was quite high. There was quite a few players still on decent money, having come down from the Championship. We took 20% wage cuts, but it was still a bit of probably a Championship budget in League One, and the club had to make some cuts. And so I assume Stephen Presley was given a kind of ultimatum that you can keep probably 2 or 3 of your higher earners, the rest have kind of got to go, and that's how it come about, I'm sure. And yeah, we was just kind of like put in the bomb squad. Looking back now, it was probably the way it was handled, the way it was done was a little bit shocking, really. Probably not much thought process. I mean, in the modern day now, if you talk about mental health and people in depression and people, wanting to be treated well, I don't think Stephen Presley would have probably been proud of how he done things back then. But we literally trained with the youth team for 8 weeks. We weren't allowed at the Sky Blue Lodge for the whole period of pre-season, and yeah, it was tough times. But it's just one of them things. It's how some people deal with things, and it's certainly something that I learned going forward, that what not to do.
As a former player, it must have been tough to watch on as the club went through some of their darkest days.
Yeah, looking on, it was disappointing. I mean, I played against them quite a few times when I went to Scunthorpe, and we felt like we won. I think we drew one and won the rest probably on 4 occasions, and it wasn't good. It wasn't the Coventry City sort of team of old and that I'd expect to play against. And I think it gave, when Mark Robins come back, I think it just gave him an opportunity to just strip it right back, and almost take 3 or 4 steps back to eventually go 2 or 3 forward. And that's definitely what's happened. He took over, and although they got relegated that season, we had a great win at Wembley, which straight away the confidence is sky high again then for the next season. Recruited pretty well with I think recruited quite a lot of players, but I think two of them were standout players in Doyler and McNulty, and McNulty got the goals. Doyler, with his leadership experience and his qualities, just led them straight back up, and it's been brilliant of late, back-to-back promotions, and yeah, they're in a good place now. The Championship it's a decent level to play at. I think they've got the players. I think they've got the players to cope with it. I just think sometimes now they might maybe need to think about maybe not being as expansive and pretty on the eye. And it's a results business in the Championship. You don't want to play the best football in the Championship, but get relegated. And that's something going forward that I think the players will learn. It looks like they're adapting to it. They've got a good result there at the weekend against Birmingham and a clean sheet, which is great to see. But yeah, overall answer to your question, yeah, it's disappointing times, rock bottom. I think they had to go to rock bottom to start climbing again, and it's looking like that's how it's panned out.
I'm sure many supporters, including myself, will have seen you score the odd screamer or two. Which goal are you most proud of?
Yeah, I remember scoring quite a few good goals. I scored some screamers for Scunthorpe, later on in my career, which was 4 or 5 real top goals. Coventry though, yeah, there was some great goals. There were some good free kicks that I remember back in the day. Some good goals back in Highfield Road days. Some good ones at the Rico as well. But the standout one is probably the one that makes the hairs on my neck stand up a little bit still, is the last day at Highfield Road. My first goal that day. I remember I think I got fouled, so I was on the floor, but we got played on, and the ball went loose to Doyle, and he found me with a decent, little breaking line pass into midfield areas, and I got it on half turn, just ran at them, and I remember running at Cognac, Michael Johnson, a couple more, and they couldn't really get near me, and I just slotted it in the far bottom with pace, hit it quite early, and the goalie wasn't probably expecting that, and the occasion, everything, it was just a perfect start to the game and perfect closure for me.
At the ripe old age of 38, you're still playing. You made your debut for Rossington, Maine in the Northern Counties League last month. How strong is your desire to continue your association with the game, at least in terms of playing?
Yeah, I had a game for Rossington the other week. I know the manager, he's a friend of mine. To be honest, I've not played for a couple of years before that. Played a couple of charity games. Played one at Coventry United last year for the former players, Coventry. That was enjoyable. But yeah, I hadn't kicked a ball since, really, apart from in coaching and stuff. But it's convenient at the minute, because with the fans not being allowed in, obviously, at games, at times I've not even been allowed in with as academy coaches. So it's been frustrating with all the COVID bubbles and stuff. It's strange times. So Saturday afternoons have got quite boring. So yeah, I thought I'll go and have a runabout and see what it's like. It's enjoyable. It brought some memories back. It was nice to have some contact again out there on the pitch, and I enjoyed myself. So we'll see how long it lasts. No real desire to play. Ultimately, I'm focused on coaching now, and Saturday afternoons I'm normally at games. I'm normally at Doncaster games or watching other teams play for the manager, etc. So, as soon as I can get back to that, will be good, because I can get back into a routine and really focus on my coaching career going forward.
In recent years, you've shared your knowledge with the next generation of footballers as a coach at Doncaster Rovers, one of your former clubs. How rewarding is it to assist the youngsters of today on their footballing journey?
Yeah, it's rewarding. Not had loads of experience in it yet, but when you see a youngster having a first team appearance, which we've had 3 or 4 at Doncaster, that's really rewarding. They work hard. Sometimes frustrating as well, because constantly repeating yourself at times, and sometimes you think, is it going to sink in? But then I remember me being that age, and although I was probably naturally good, fast, and could score goals, there were some things that probably didn't quite sink in, and George Mackey and Richard Money, our youth team coaches, would have probably got fed up of telling me the same things at times. But eventually you get to an age, and then these things, the penny drops, and it clicks, and it just becomes a bit more natural. So yeah, probably really it's a patient job. You have to really be patient with it, and repetition's key, and I think good information in the right way is the way to go about it nowadays with the kids of today. You can't just hammer them like we used to get hammered in our day as 16, 17 year olds. I don't think the teenagers today are brought up the same way, are bred the same way. Don't really play out on the streets anymore. A lot of it's computer-based stuff, isn't it, at home? Probably mollycoddled a lot, rightly so, because the world's turned into not a very nice place, And yeah, but it is rewarding. Yeah, I mean, it's something that I thoroughly enjoy, and going forward, I'd like to have a decent second career in it. A good example also is Max Waters at Crawley Town at the minute. I think he's got 8 goals this year in 7 games. And he was part of my under-23s group last year at Doncaster. And there were times when, he was quite sulky, had the hump a lot, and he was someone that you had to deal with in a different way, because, he wasn't really getting the first team opportunity. But at the same time, he wasn't really being consistent enough, and had to explain to him a few times that, until you show this consistency and work ethic where it's the norm, then you won't play in the first team, and you can always look sharp and score goals in under 18s and under 23s games, but ultimately the first team managers nowadays, they have to trust you, and it's great to see him this year. I think probably moving on from Doncaster made him realise that he has to probably muck in a bit more and work that bit harder. It's not just all going to come onto his lap, and he's gone to Crawley with a point to prove, and he's on fire this season, doing really well, and that's probably the most rewarding one yet for me.
You've taken a bit of an interest in Coventry United as of late for a couple of reasons, one of which has got to be one of your old teammates, Kevin Thornton.
Yeah, it's great to see Kev playing well by the looks of it, enjoying himself. I know he's had difficult times in the past, and it's good to see that he's healthy and in a good place and in a good mindset. And he's a top footballer. When we go back to talking about when I went to Birmingham, Kev was often getting the odd start here and there, and always coming on from the subs bench for myself a lot of the time, and playing with me as well. But for me, as soon as I left Coventry, I thought he was the perfect replacement to just slot into my role in the team. And I don't think he grasped it. And you asked him now, he knows he should have done things differently, because his talent, his raw talent, was just superb. He was a great little player, and it's nice to see that he's still playing and enjoying life and enjoying football, because some people would have just nipped it in the bud and thought, no, I'm not playing, and been stuck in that rut for a while. But fair play to him, he's got a smile back on his face, and he knows he could have had a probably longer and better career than he did, and he should have had one, but ultimately it didn't happen, and you can't dwell on it. And he's playing for Coventry United now, and it's as we said earlier, it's a tidy setup. I went there last year, and lovely pitch, lovely little ground, and he's I'm sure he runs the games at that level, and probably have some young whippers round him now doing his running for him, but he can definitely dictate a game at that level, that's for sure.
Of course, Kev isn't your only link to Coventry United. You're also friends with the new chairman at the Red and Greens, Joe Haggerty.
Yeah, I've been friends with Joe for years. He used to play football with my eldest brother, and it was great growing up, going to watch them play. And he was a tidy midfielder, and he's always been a good friend of the family, and very kind lad. Do anything for anyone, and I see he's invested well into the club. The lads always look the part, with their kit, their tracksuits, etc. And I know that he's invested heavily into that, and always puts everyone in front. You know, it puts everyone first in front of himself, and it was great to go and play the game for the Former Players Association last year. And again, he put a spread on after the game and drinks for the former players, which, you know, you don't have to do, but the hospitality was really good, and things like that don't get forgotten. As for playing, who knows? You know, never say never. Like I say, if I'm in the area more often and I've got that itch to play, then it could happen. You never know.
What the Red and Green Army will want to know, Gary, is when fans are allowed at the Butts Park Arena once again, can we expect to see you there one day?
I'll try to get to a few games here and there. I live in Doncaster now. It's difficult. Saturdays is obviously football day for the youth team, and then obviously first team games, etc. So who knows when fans will be let back in. That's probably when I'll be let back in as well, in terms of the first team games. So, but as I said, if I'm in the area, I'll try and pop down and watch the odd game or two.
Well, Gary, it's been an absolute pleasure, mate. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Liam. The pleasure's mine, mate.
Thanks again to Gary McSheffrey for a great chat about all things Coventry and beyond. We hope you enjoyed this presentation here on Coventry United TV, and if you'd like to see more features like this one, then let us know in the comment section below and tell us who you'd like to hear from next. Remember to hit the like button to let us know you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as we continue on our path to 1,000 subscribers. You can also catch live football from the Midland Football League and the FA Women's Championship with our exclusive match streams, highlights, commentaries and interviews. But of course, the best way to experience football is at the stadium, so why not head to the Butts Park Arena and check out what Coventry United has to offer for yourself. From me, Liam Cook, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Coventry United TV.